Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Uyai Anyeka coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran in Akwa Ibom State. Now let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari warns security agents to refrain from activities that can tarnish their image in 2023 elections. Federal government spends 2 trillion naira on development of local content project. Plus, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov says Russia will not negotiate on the terms of Zelensky's peace plan. We'll bring you details of these stories and thanks for joining in. Beginning the news this afternoon, reputation ahead of the 2023 general election. In a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, the president noted that by compromising the democratic process, the Defense Intelligence Agency's DIA's newly acquired estate in Idukamo area of Abuja also advised security personnel to maintain a high sense of professionalism. President Buhari urged the agencies to hand in operation procedures.
I charge you all to ensure the sustenance of the high standard of this safety. This would help realize the value of the enormous resources committed in the acquisition. I very much appreciate the efforts of the Defense Intelligence Agency. The
government has spent a total of 2 trillion naira on the development of local content in the last 12 years. A document on the Nigerian Content Intervention Fund presented by the General Manager of the Nigerian Content Development Fund and Treasury Management, an arm of the Nigerian Content and Development Monitoring Board, Obinna, of the country's oil and gas industry. On how the fund was deployed, the STVNg said 70% went into commercial intervention applied to supporting commercial activities in the oil and gas industry, working capital, project and contract execution, asset acquisition. 30%, he said, was invested into capacity building expenditure. We move now to the legislature, where the Senate has rejected the request by President Muhammadu Buhari to restructure the 22.7. Rejected the request after an uproar in the Senate over the issue. Recall that President Buhari had, in a letter read on the floor of the Senate on Wednesday last week, sought for restructuring of the Ways and Means advances collected from CBN reports. Trouble started when the chairman of the committee, Solomon Adiola, APC Lagos West, was called upon to present a report on it. Some members of the upper legislative chamber were quick to raise objections as the Senate leadership attempted severally to get the Senate to accede to the president's request, but it failed because of the depth of information, an argument adduced by Sekibo, who cited sections 80 and 83 of the In the meantime, the Senate has urged the Central Bank of Nigeria to urgently extend the withdrawal of old currency notes from circulation from the 30th, raised by Senator Mohammed Ndume, APC Borno, during plenary, raising orders 41 and 51 of the Senate Standing Rule. Ndume said that the call for an extension of the date. The lawmaker also said that access to the new notes would be compounded by the recent circular by the CBN, which
withdrawal of all notes from circulation is not extended beyond 31st. Many Nigerians will be thrown to urge the central bank to urgently extend the withdrawal date from 31st January to 31st June 2023.
The majority of our people live in rural areas where there are no banks and there are no even POS. So it is appropriate.
2023, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it.
In another development, the National Assembly has increased the 2023 budget proposal from 20.51 trillion naira to 21.82 trillion naira and passed it naira to the Parliament with a deficit of 10.782 trillion naira. The appropriations committees of both the Senate and House of Representatives said the 1.3 trillion naira increase in the budget size was due to the additional funding earmarked for the National Population Commission ahead of the planned 2023 census, as well as the 173 billion naira appropriated for the Army, Navy, Nigeria Police Force, and Ministries of Agriculture, Health, Aviation, and Science and Technology also got reasonable increases, as the oil price benchmark proposed for. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has asked the federal government through the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company to suspend the planned auction of oil mining license 11 for $250 million when it has been bid for, and the planned auction and sale of the OML 11 asset until relevant issues are resolved. The House also mandated its Committee on Petroleum Upstream to urgently investigate the planned auction, among other matters, and report back within 4 weeks. Field under OML 11 was formerly operated by the Shell Petroleum Development Company under a joint venture, and it had been idle since the firm was forced out of Ogoniland in 1993. On the planned new minimum wage, the Nigerian continuous rise in inflation and the devaluation of the Naira must be checked before the salary increase announced by the federal government could be considered. The organized labor explained that the cost of virtually all consumables in Nigeria had been on the rise, stressing that if this should continue, any amount of money that would be added to the minimum wage might not meet the employment. Chris Ngige, that the federal government would soon announce salary increments for civil servants and public officials due to the steady increase in prices of consumer goods. Candidate Bola Tinubu in London, the United Kingdom. The APC standard bearer was said to have lobbied for the endorsement of the 5 governors during the marathon meeting. Recall that governors Nyesom Wike of Rivers, Seyi Makinde Oyo, Okezie Ikpeazu Abia vowed not to support the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar over the refusal of the party's national chairman Iyorocha Ayu to resign after Atiku obtained the presidential ticket of the party. Reports say hours after noting that as far as it was concerned, the governors were in the UK on vacation. PDP, however, threatened to punish the governors for any anti-party activities, stressing that it had the capacity to discipline the governors. Prices of food items tend to increase due to high demand. Speaking with a correspondent on the effect of high food prices on Christmas festivity, they expressed concern over the soar in the price of food, adding that the average price of local rice is 180 naira per cup, while the price of foreign rice goes for between 250 and 270 naira. Of staple food has gone beyond the affordability of many Nigerians. They also said any measures taken by the government to improve the economy of the state will be appreciated.
Right now is high compared to what it used to be, even the Gary itself.
Christmas week and India. Me when man you see the Christmas to me you enjoy the okay me nam so here the rice and stew. But uto rice and stew ibahaba. Mpo so won bo me nam ya afon. Nigeria ye nam ya afon. So that man I want to kan.
I've seen them before, but now I'm body about these days. I did buy with them. Body's on rubber, I can now go zero. So we make complain as yet in front of me. I've never heard of me, but
So transport here, even when you bring it expensive, when you come to sell it expensive, it will end up the thing you lose, or you gain what you do not even have gain inside. You only get small gain because of people are not coming to buy, and when it remains, it will spoil.
In Africa, South Sudan has announced the deployment of 750 East African Community EAC to deploy a joint regional force that includes forces from Kenya, Burundi, and Uganda. At a ceremony in the capital, Juba, South Sudanese President Salva Kiir urged the soldiers to keep the order and protect civilians. Meanwhile, still in Africa, an Ivorian court has sentenced a total of 11 defendants to life in prison for the jihadist attack in the resort town of Grand Bassam in March 2016, in an attack which resulted in 19 deaths, including Europeans. Defense lawyer Eric Saki regretted the decision but suggested the verdict. Meanwhile, the attack has hit the tourism sector in the country, which has already been weakened by the 2010-2011 post-election crisis that left some 3,000 people dead. Heard in Krev today, while air defense systems have been activated in the capital region. In a statement, Kuliba said after the night attack of self-exploding drones, the enemy is attacking Ukraine from various directions with air and sea-based cruise missiles from strategic aircraft and ships. This, according to preliminary reports, incoming rocket hits were recorded. In a related development, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov says Russia will not negotiate under the terms of Zelensky's peace plan. Lavrov told state-run RIA that Zelensky's was an illusion. He also dismissed the idea that Kiev would achieve reparations or that Russia would appear in international courts, while stressing that Russia remains open to diplomatic solutions to end the war. Recall that President Zelensky presented Ukraine's 10-point peace formula to world leaders at the Group of 20 summit in Bali, Indonesia in November. The steps included peace treaty with Moscow. He also urged G20 leaders to use all their power to make Russia abandon nuclear threats and implement a price cap on energy imported from Moscow, adding that US President Joe Biden had endorsed the plan. Still to come in the news. Haaland sets record as Man City beats Leeds. Do stay with us.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by cross them. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we...
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord.
A program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. On our business news, the Chief Operating Officer of Lekki Port, LFTZ Enterprise Limited, Lawrence Smith, has said talks have been opened with potential operators of the liquid berth terminals. He noted that the terminal operator Lekki Freeport Terminal, LFT, was putting everything in place to give a world-class port experience, adding that all the relevant agencies have been sensitized to undertake their roles in the new port. Meanwhile, the Deputy Chief Operating Officer of Lekki Port, Dino Odibe, has said that the Lagos State government has commenced work on the construction of access roads leading to the port, noting that the management of Lekki to the proposed Eastern Coastal Rail Line through Ijebu-Ode. Still on business, PricewaterhouseCoopers PwC Nigeria has advised we know crude oil production. The submission was made at the PwC Stakeholders Forum on Marginal Oil Field License in Lagos. Meanwhile, Executive Commissioner Economic Regulation and Strategic Planning Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Kelechi Ofobu, who represented the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, engineered with the objective of equalizing all oil and gas producers in Nigeria. In health, the OML 83 and 85 NNPC/First E&P joint venture has concluded a medical outreach that targeted 8 communities in Bayelsa State, including Koluama 1, Koluama 2, Ezetu 1, Ezetu 2, Forakba, Fishtown, Ekeni, and Sangana. According to a statement made available to newsmen, to ensure economic well-being of people within its host communities. Commenting on the initiative, the Group General Manager of NNPC Upstream Investment Management Services, a subsidiary of NNPC Limited, Bala Wunti, said the vision for social interventions is to continue operating ethically and sustainably while dealing with any environmental and social impacts caused by their activities. In sports, Erling Haaland became the fastest player to reach 20 Premier League goals as Manchester City overcame a stubborn lead to reduce Arsenal's lead at the top of the table to 5 points. Frustrated by a disciplined and determined home side and their own wastefulness for much of the first half at Stans in a one-sided second half. Having seen a couple of efforts saved early in the game, Haaland, playing in the city of his birth against the side he supports, did not celebrate his goals but showed little mercy in securing them to bring up his impressive tally in just his 14th game of the campaign. Reports say those City secured the win to move back up to second behind the Gunners and 2 points better off than third place Newcastle, both of whom won on Monday. The relegation battle is no less intense, with Leeds in 15th place on 15 points. And still in sports, Anthony Joshua has admitted he's out of the championship title race as he plans his next step in the heavyweight division. He last fought in August, suffering a second straight decision loss to Alexander Usyk while failing to regain the WBA, WBO, IBF and IBO titles. Joshua was then offered a shot at the WBC belt by Tyson Fury, but the Britons could not come to an agreement over what would have been his compatriot via TKO to stay undefeated. Meanwhile, Joshua has been linked with a potential rematch against Dillian Whyte, whom he lost to as an amateur but knocked out in a 2015 professional contest. On our entertainment scene, veteran actor Nkemowo is afraid and get infected by the disease affecting Nigeria's political system. Owo, who described himself as a fearless person, also said he shunned politics because he likes using his personality to make people happy. Given his views on the forthcoming election, the actor said he will go out to vote, noting that he was tired He has tried to reject Nigerian politics in its entirety, even though there are still some good people inside the polity whose system he described as a diseased mesh. Latest issue of the Billboard Hot 100 dated December 31st, 2022. The Selena Gomez assisted remix retains its number 83 spot from last week, while on the US Afrobeats chart, Rima's Calm Down has continued its dominance on the chart, as Burna Boy's Last Last and Wizkid's Essence remains at number 3 and number 4 respectively. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum TV News at 12. I am